Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jeneth Blackert,
And I'm Lyanca.
and this is the Hot Hustle Show. And boy, are you in for a treat today. We are going to talk about how to hack your personal reality and how to hack the matrix. And I wish, oh, right before the call, I was going to just kind of let all the beasts free. And in those beasts, I have to tell you, I we have kind of a makeshift office that we work out of. And in this makeshift office, we've got like 18 lights on us. And it also has no central air. So yesterday, my daughter and I went to Home Depot and we bought a window AC unit that's super quiet because the one we have right now is extra loud.
And we're in Texas, so it's extra
and we're in
hot.
Texas, so the beginning of the May is actually gets pretty toasty. It's already in the 90s during the day. So yesterday I went to get this AC unit. I had my daughter drive us there, and she still has her learner's permit. And I nearly had a heart attack doing it. But the longer story and how that relates to hacking your matrix is this thing was so heavy that I had to ask for support. So I was like, Lyanca, you think your husband could come by and help me with this AC unit and see if we can actually get it out of the car and into the house?
But Joe, her husband is away. He's visiting mom in another state. So
which is
of
also
course,
kind of a comedic situation as well.
So anyway, we rushed over here. Yep.
So they came right away.
I was like in my pajamas.
It was super cute, and it was and we went to put up this thing, and then Roy, for the very first time, got to see the rest of the office. And he looked over at the desk and all the hundreds of lights and everything, and he's like, interesting. And then she's like, yeah, we even had to elevate things because the tripod wouldn't get it high enough. So there's like all these books on the floor too. And he's like, you should you should take a picture of that. Like kind of like, this is where your startup started. And that got my wheels turning, because it made me realize that the vision that we're holding, because my husband might have made a similar comment, but the vision that we're holding, we have also got our spouses on board with the creation of it. Like, he knows that this is going somewhere past these like little, conversations with like the 1,000 people on YouTube and this, that, and the other. And I think he's like really seeing, oh my gosh, this, my husband's seeing and Roy's seeing, this is really the start of a movement. Take a picture of that.
Yeah, he wanted us to, he said, you're going to want to capture this for when, when y'all are, and he made a comparison, but I just thought it was so funny because I was like, oh yeah, we're going to want to have that story at that we're going to have the journey of where we've been.
Right.
And I thought, oh my gosh, that means, immediately we were transported to the bigger vision. And he even saw that too when he was looking at the books, and I immediately in my head, I'm thinking, oh yeah, this will probably go in a book, or we'll talk about, we'll have the picture of like how we got started.
We'll have the story.
Yeah.
Like once again, a new story.
Yeah.
And it really made me think about how projections of others, whether good, bad, right, or wrong, contribute to the creation of your future. And I was like, oh, that's a piece of hacking the matrix. I was really going to go into, perception changes, points of view, and really play with that today. And I think that this is really a 3-part conversation. There are huge parts within the conversation, but I think it's really 3 parts. And this is so after my awareness with him and that contribution, I kind of played with it last night, and I thought, well, we're definitely talking about perception point of view when we talk about hacking the matrix, because basically everything since we were a baby just kind of went into our world, and we've got these point of views that's keeping us from truly creating the lives that we want to lead. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But then I thought, but if you hold and you're in the field and you're creating a vision and a future for something, then there's also other people within the field creating with you. And that also works in not so good ways. Like if somebody is sick, or maybe they've heard they've got cancer, and then you hear something like it's also in their lymph nodes or something, and you project that they're going to die, that information has just gone out to the frequency in maybe not a positive way for them. You don't really know what they want to choose. Maybe they do want to get out of this world. So
But that's their choice, right? Like every soul has choice.
Right. So when we're talking about like actually, and I would love if you guys would leave this conversation with really this idea of like this opened beginner's mind. Because I mean, we filter everything through everything. I mean, even that conversation we had about doubt being a conclusion, and then and I felt like nobody was getting me. Nobody was really coming along with that. I watched that replay again, and then suddenly you snapped in and you were like, well, even the word maybe is a point of view. And so I wanted to play with how many points of view do you currently have, well, just about this conversation. And all those points of views will you destroy and uncreate? Like what preconceived notions do you have on maybe what we were going to talk about today? Right?
Maybe the word matrix has a charge for you. Maybe it doesn't.
Right. And it might have something in everyone else's world. I mean, I almost felt like it was like Back to the Future when that word came back around. But I was thinking, but this conversation is going to be totally different.
Yes.
So why does it matter? Right?
Right.
So I'll let you jump in.
I was going to say that's a very good awareness, or very big awareness, because there was a lot of there can be some shiftiness when you use the word matrix. And what would it take for us to not have those point of views and to come to even a show like this with just an open mind, as if you were a new human that had just gotten dropped in, right? You're learning things and you had no point of reference. The thing that creates with us and subconsciously in a way that we just don't know sometimes is those pre-programmings. And so a lot of them came in when we were a child. A lot of them came in through ancestral. I mean, our DNA is coded. Lots of different societal, realms. I mean, all of it is contributing, either good, bad, whatever, however you want to state that, to how you create in this world. And everything that we create comes through our paradigms, comes through our perception. So I always like to say perception is reality. I used to say it jokingly.
Yeah. Well, and
it is.
In the 3D world, it is. Right? And one of the big things that I've always said is nothing happens to you, right? Like, I mean, I really got that from Access over the years that, so even this icky stuff I've created. And it makes me like go, why did I choose that one?
And I would create this for what reason?
Yeah, for what reason, and how can I like alter the shift so that I create something different? So if you're going to write down what these like 3 big hack the matrix is.
Y'all can tell she's really excited about this topic. I mean, you can feel this energy, and she gave me a lot of it before we got in the car, and just was
trying to
going. And I thought, this is going to be good.
I'm like, Lyanca's not going to have a word in edgewise on this conversation, because I just got this whole download on what it is. It was almost like I was flying in the stars.
That's awesome. And you know what? What a gift that is. What a gift it is to have that and to be able to share it with everyone today. So again, if you're picking up on this, her energy, it's because she's really excited about this. And I think that again, when you come away from this call today, when you come away, the one thing that we want you to be able to hopefully be able to see and take away is that this is an empowerment. the realization that we create everything is giving you back that power and thus not being the victim. So I know that's sometimes easier said than done when you look at it from face value, but just hear us out.
But hear us out. Don't
hear
create
her
any
out.
points of view about it. So let's go back. So how many points of view do you even have about the word matrix? Like, what does that mean to you? Just kind of go in your world for just 1 second and say, matrix is, jail or a trap, or you can type it in the chat, right? Everything that you think that the matrix means to you, I want you to go ahead and destroy and then create everything that is. And take a breath. So from this download that I got around control, that's a good one. From this download that I really got, so there's one, it's like our internal landscape, our perceptions, our point of views, like the point of views and the entrainments and the inventions and whatever other words we want for all those things that have created us as the identity that we are today. And everything that brings up as far as points of view, would you be willing to let that go for 1 second now?
Yes.
And take a breath. Yeah. So that's one category within this hacking the matrix is don't take anything personally, and every single point of view question. Okay. And we can go deeper. I've got stories around this, man. The second part then was what I talked about at the beginning of the call, was about how to have a frequency so strong. Now that could be good, bad, right, or wrong, right? If you're always talking lack and how miserable you are, and everybody just kind of openly perceives you that way, then they start projecting that same exact energy on you.
Well, let me play devil's advocate
Okay,
here
go for
for
it.
a second, Jeneth. I mean, what do you say to someone that, when I was learning, and I'm going to say this, there was even a master's, in my master's program, there was even a class about this. So we've grown up to learn that when someone is having an ailment or someone's having a problem, let's say someone's sick or they're really struggling, they were laid off, to have, and I come to you and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was just laid off.
Yeah.
And you sit there with your interesting point of view. I have this point of view, right? Like with your dissonance, like nothing, with your know nothingness. I then would think that you're being insensitive.
Yeah.
And
or
so,
not empathetic.
Exactly. So I was going to say the quotient is empathetic, and we've even.
But I could also do the whole play around empathy too, so that you would feel better.
Right.
And I would do that for both of us.
Right.
But
right,
I don't
right.
have to be it.
So my
Is that
question is, because we are all kind of raised this way, and even now our workplace is telling us to be more empathetic, right? Like, have that empathy and have an empathy quotient and blah blah blah. I mean, when we start to align and entrain that way with those types of frequencies, are we then setting ourselves up to have that projected back? Is that what you're saying? Because I mean, really,
that is what I'm saying.
So,
but that doesn't mean you have to hold everything in. It doesn't mean you can't express. It just means get it out and get it over with.
Okay.
Right.
And if one of my friends comes over to me and she says, "Oh my gosh, I'm having this, something really, really tragic go on," and I sit there with my stoic self, I feel like I'm not being available for them.
Yeah, you contribute by allowing them to say their voice, and then at the same time you don't buy the lie because you know beyond it, but you can still play the 3D role that you've always played, so that they feel better.
So everyone
and in turn you'll feel better because you've contributed to hearing them out. There's this Buddhist I can't remember the saying exactly, but basically it means feel what you feel, right? And you just got to feel what you got to feel is what I'm saying, right? Is it's not really.
So can everyone on the line kind of receive that, right? So where all those places that we've learned how to be more empathetic, more sympathetic, more there for our friends, right? Like, I'm like, oh girl, he's cheating on me, this and that and this and this. And you're like, oh, he's a dog, right? And so now, now we're just like, in that judgy, that lower vibrancy or that low vibration frequency is what I'm trying to say. And but that's how we've gone up. And so I just wanted to point out that and stop the conversation for just a second so that you could see exactly how insidious it is and how it hides from us. Because while I can walk around and say, oh, I'm not going to have any point of view, those are the types of situations that we have in a relationship that do pull us back into those frequencies. And we just do it blindly. And most of all, because we want to look like we care. And I do care.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if my dog would run out and get hit by a car and I'd be like at the emergency vet, you would care.
Yeah, I'd be sad.
And I would be devastated.
Yeah.
And and that's okay. I think you express those frequencies. Now, do you keep expressing it, do you remember that time that my dog died?
Yes.
Like you don't live by those frequencies. You have them. I mean, that is a part of life. All of life comes to you.
Through your own creation.
Right,
And I
right.
just wanted to stop again and just show you how it kind of lives in our world.
Like
as a
3D
regular-
living.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And, we also have the power to choose to flip these. And I guess it's taken me years upon years upon years to like really get, oh, I don't have to hold on to this. I don't have to feel this angst. I can if I want to. And maybe there's some value in me feeling that way. And I can flip that. And I think that one thought, that one choice where, hey, I don't have to choose this feeling. I don't have to choose this suffering. There was a Buddhist saying also that pain is inevitable, but suffering is not.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's the difference between 3D living and 5D living.
Woo-wee.
And doing it with others.
Yeah.
I think that so much of what we do here is like all about me. Oh, you're doing an angel reading. Well, read
so
me,
funny you
read
said
me,
that.
read me.
You
right?
said that's so funny you said that. I was going to say something too. Go
There's
ahead.
talk about, hacking the frequency. One of the biggest things that hacks your frequency is when you go into meditation or you go into the field and you say, I'm going to create a vision for my loved one, and I so want this of them. Hacking the frequency is me saying, you are such a contribution to me, and being the frequency of that. That is the hack. And I really thought that the hack was going to be all point of view and perception change, and that's a part of it. But I think the bigger piece to this is actually playing with those quantum entanglements that we talk about and being the love for someone else, being the love for the animals in the world, right? Blessing your food. When an animal had to sacrifice his life so that you could have a delicious dinner tonight. These are the things that maybe we don't practice enough. And these are really what I believe the key things to creating more love, more kindness, more positivity in the world so that our collective isn't stuck so much in this like 3D woundology is what Carolyn Meese used to call it, where we're constantly seeing somebody with their pain and we're like, yeah, I know I had one of those pains too, right? And that just like, and she even said that's literally like you picking at your friend's scab. I
Ooh.
know.
Because
Like
you said in Access they actually called it an unkindness.
it's, yeah, it's an unkindness. So for example, if somebody was sick and maybe they just had a cold and it just went on a long time or something, and then in your world you're like, oh, they're gonna die, or something like that. And with, I mean, look at that energy when I go, oh no, they're gonna die
Uh-huh.
or something. Like you feel it. Like it's not just words.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
got a
comes with
whole
a
yeah.
sadness and a frequency, and then you project that on the person that's ill. That is such an unkindness because now your energy about them just went into the field as information.
There it is, right there. That's it.
That's,
These are all quanta and they're packets of information. And so the information that you want to put out into the field, out into the matrix, is the ones that hack, right? Those things that are that better I don't want to say better, but like the things that are most of what you desire instead of compounding those things that you don't desire. Because I totally have been guilty of just staying in that funk. And then I'm like, I stub my toe and I'm like, oh shit. I stubbed my toe, and then now with my big, my toe hurting, I tripped on something else, and then of course, like I don't know, somehow I end up wrecking my car, right? Like because that compounded, and because I stayed in that energy. How many times have we found somebody? You have somebody that's like, oh shit, I can't have anything go right today. Well, of
yeah,
course.
no, and they wake up that way, and then they think that, and then they create that because your point of view creates your reality always.
Right.
I mean, there is no, that is the one thing that is like asking and receiving in the Bible, right? It is the same thing. Your point of view will always create. The Henry
So-
Ford, if you think you can, you can.
And the funny thing is that when we do that, we attach so much emotional energy to it. And I've heard that actually be called a beyond, right? So that's what keeps us
Yeah.
stuck in place. And so that's what creates what is also called an Mobius strip, where you're just repeating the same pattern over and over and over. Right now, I am living as the pattern that I created from my past. What you're looking at is a past Lyanca, right? Until I make a choice to be in a different timeline. And everything that I do now, I really try to be aware. And I even stop and ask myself, am I aware? Am I aware? And that's how I get present. And when I can make a choice for my presence, then I'm able to choose the timeline for which I want to be. And so my guides are always going to, your guides are always going to put you on the highest timeline and
Yeah.
continue to lead you that way. Now, if you want to go off on your own trajectory because we have free will, well, hey, it might hurt a little bit more. I've been told it's said.
Yesterday, my husband, he's out of town, so we talk at night for about 2 hours, and he was like constantly, so he's kind of the parent for my daughter to learn how to drive, which is a really great thing because he's a really great driver, and I don't want to do it anyway because it terrifies me. But since he is out of town, I took my 18-year-old who just got her driver's permit out for a little drive to Home Depot. And on this drive, she terrified me several times. But, and I told my husband about it, right? I'm like, Joe, she's like doing this massive acceleration on like exit lanes.
That would have been me.
Like
You would have
she's like
never wanted to
hurrying
drive
up
with
and
me.
then braking. It was just like, dude, but she's like, it's 65 on this road. I'm like,
Oh.
not on the exit ramp. And I mean, talk about like being a little charged
Oh,
up.
she's going to be so mad if she hears this replay.
So my
Oh.
husband, I'm like, so I talked with her a little bit about that. And I was just saying, here are the little errors that she made, right?
Julia, if you're listening to the
my
replay,
daughter's
I
name
was
is
a
Julia.
horrible driver.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
I was right there with you, sister. I would change lanes. I lived like this.
I apologize. And remember to breathe. I'm just fired up about this. So,
Yeah.
and I wanted to kind of make the point.
Go
So
ahead.
when I was on the conversation with him, he constantly kept making me wrong. And, I guess sometimes when people make you wrong, you kind of just got to go, okay, that's what they are. They're just going to keep making me wrong. And I just need to be an allowance of this.
Okay.
But it made me think, how much, am I being sensitive to this because this happens a lot? But how much have I also allowed him to see me that way, where I am actually always wrong? Talk about like hacking the matrix.
Yeah.
I went into, okay, so he's looking at me as my past Jeneth.
Good. I
Right?
like this. Yes.
And now that I'm clearer, it's just going to take a little time for his perceptions to catch up and go, no, I'm talking one incident at a time here, right? I mean, one correction at a time. But he felt the way I said things, I was even saying it wrong to my daughter to correct her around her driving. And so I think when you have family members, maybe you don't even see them for like the past 5 or 6 years, and you go to visit them every Christmas, they're still looking at you as that messed up little teenage child.
Or they could
Because
be.
they don't see the evolution and they don't yet perceive the shifts and the changes. What can we do to actually change that?
Well, you be it.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's what I was kind of hoping that.
Oh, cool.
And there's also ways to clear around this,
Okay, well, tell us.
But one of my things was, it's okay for me not to pick a fight with my husband and just let him make me wrong.
Okay.
I know that I wasn't that wrong.
Interesting.
I might have said a few things and freaked out in ways that may not have been right, but it was just me being me. So I just thought I would share like a real world just happened situation around hacking the matrix around this.
Yeah. No, thank you. That's very vulnerable. And thank you for all the comments. Everybody's really liking this.
And the Joe on the feed, not my husband, did reply. He's like, maybe he will never see the new version. And that's okay too, right?
Right.
And he says, maybe he won't see it because he doesn't want to. And right, he created in his world, he created me this certain way, and I think he likes the power. And I don't care. I mean, it's these simple little conversations. It's not like he's, gaslighting me or anything.
Right.
It's just interesting that he needs to have the power.
I find that when those things happen and then I have a change and I start to show up as more of me. I think one of my biggest shifts I had when I had a spiritual awakening 4 years ago was I realized that my self-worth came from me. And that was a huge shift. I mean, I sat there and journaled on it. I did steps around it. I did inventory. I mean, you name it. But I really got to like my self-worth. The only person that can define that for me is me. And that's it.
Yeah.
And so when I really started to show up as that, everyone else that was interacting with me, it took a little while.
Yeah.
And I never said anything. I didn't, and just went along my way, but I knew that this was inside me now.
Yeah.
Like I knew I embodied that. And I swear everything changed. My dynamics with all of my relationships, the way that I showed up in the world. And that happens just naturally because the way in which that you're pointed in the field now is the way in which some people will operate with you. Because again, like you said, it's a resonance. And so when people project back to you, now they're able to project back that same self-love, that same self-worth, that who gave it to me? Me. Who gives it to you? You.
Yeah.
So again,
which is nothing happens to you.
Yeah.
You create it all.
And that's super empowering. I hope that again, that you get to take that away.
And be an allowance for them to not change as fast as you too. I think that when I really got to thinking about it, I mean, I was present with her, and I felt really good. Other than one little freak out when she drove in the bike lane, where there was actual pillars up.
Oh, sweet girl.
And then you know what? When that happened, I actually said, these are things you learn. Like this is. this is just a learning experience. You learn this over time. You learn this over driving these roads. Like, this isn't something that you would know.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh. And then, did you tell her that we're in Earth school too? Like Earth school?
No, I didn't, but
She's always learning.
yeah. Well, and I mean, and what if we could always, like, I think we could always shift it to, okay, this is a learning experience. There was no right or wrong, right? Like, okay, so I said something wrong from my husband's perspective on her driving. Okay, cool. Well, you know what? I can change that. And, if he was in the car, I probably would have gotten more approval than telling him in the second person, however it's put. So I said there was three categories to this. One is your own point of view. And then the others is being the frequency so much that other people's point of view about
And that's
you.
kind of like what I talked about, right?
And then lastly, I think it's actually going into the field and crafting the future you. It's not about crafting a vision. It's not about crafting this or that. It's really about crafting all of the future of you. And being that energy so much that everybody wants that for you too. And then they start projecting that on you.
Love that. Love that.
Okay. So I got my 3 things out.
I was going to say,
you can talk, Lyanca.
You may talk. What came to me this morning when I was playing, I was playing in the field and I was playing with my vision and I was having fun with it and I was letting it really run wild. I mean, this is learned practice work, right? Like I wasn't able to just, start visioning and imagining all these things right when I first started learning how to, I almost play make believe, right? I start dressing as if I'm getting ready for this big interview on media, right? Like I'm laying out my clothes like that. Like I am really make believing a lot of the time when I'm
even
visioning.
Shopping, going to those higher end places or choosing the car. I really did think that those things really matter. But you have to do it from a space and a place where I am choosing this for my future. So like I am actually looking.
Yes. So 2 things came up. One was that if I still was, early in my work, I could have easily fell into, I don't believe you, right? I don't believe this is going to happen. I don't know why I'm playing this stupid game.
I don't have enough money. I don't see how it's going to ever come here. So why am I playing this game?
Okay.
Why am I wasting my time even make it even worse.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I felt like maybe coming up for some people. The other thing too was the idea of, so I was thinking a lot about Ho'oponopono, right? So we're going to have somebody that's going to come and talk about that. But really what that is the ability to, in a kind of a weird way, in a Hawaiian way, say, I love you, I forgive you. And it's really all about self-love and self-forgiveness and just
it's about others too.
It is, but the biggest thing I think that sometimes we struggle with is giving those things to ourselves. I easily can go into a place of guilt, whatever that is. And then here was the kicker. So when I was visioning, all of a sudden I remembered the joy that people would get, the change that they would get. And then I felt bad. I felt guilty. I felt guilty for playing in that space of all those fun things, even from a materialistic standpoint, because now I was making it about me. What do you say to somebody that has that going on for them? Because now I'm not giving myself love, right? So
guilt's a distractor implant.
Correct.
So what's the value of it, right? I don't know. I just can't see why you would even feel guilty around it. I'm not designed that way.
Luckily, I have done a lot of work where I laughed because I saw it come up, and because I've always been taught to think about others before yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, that's
an entrainment. And then I remembered that my self-love is so important because I am here to create. And if I create from the place of just self-love, and allow myself to be in that space, well, then I am a contribution. And thus I am always thinking and taking care of other people, right? In that way, in just being a loving being to myself, first of all.
Yeah.
So I know that. But it did come up, and I thought about that because I do feel like a lot of people would easily have felt the same way that, those thoughts would come into your head, my head.
I think if I was processing you, I would say, this guilt isn't yours first, right? Like, when did you get, like, whose does this belong to? Like, when were you entrained? Who were you entrained by on this guilt thing, right? So that would be the kind of, I guess I'd start at that question, and then I'd ask you what the value of you actually making yourself feel guilty. Like by making yourself feel guilty, did that make it mean that, well, I feel guilty, so it's not totally about me.
Right.
Because it's not serving me entirely. It's
was
not feeding me with only love.
Yeah.
Right?
It almost felt like a selfish energy, like like I'm this spoiled little empress, right? Like, and I was like,
Pack your bags, you're going on a guilt trip.
a whole trip,
funny.
right? So then I immediately wanted to strip myself of those robes, if you will, right? Of those princely robes, they say in Coming to America. I wanted to then strip myself of those empress robes, and then I immediately wanted to put myself back into a poor state so that I could then assimilate, I guess, right? So that I wouldn't have this.
That sounds like a lot of work when you could have just really enjoyed shopping.
I was just standing in my closet, really.
Oh, really? You were just energetically shopping.
This morning, actually.
Yeah, it's funny. I indulge in some higher end clothing, as you might know. Even some of my like sweatpants and stuff are like $110 or something like that. And I guess, at this point in my life, that's where that's what I love. I love the way they feel on me. I love the way they look on me, even if other people don't. Who likes seeing people in sweats, right? But the way that they fit, and they're of this brand that's kind of a celebrity brand, and I like feeling a part of that world.
Okay,
and
that's great.
I've never put guilt on stuff like that because I actually know my reason, and I'm actually very selective too. Like, I don't just go ahead and buy things just to buy things. I buy things that I want, and they're going to be in my world for years usually. Yeah.
And it's funny because I wasn't even actively shopping. Like I said, I was just having a vision.
Yeah.
And so I had to give myself permission again to stay in that vision and to love myself there.
That's cool, though.
Yeah.
It's cool that you got there.
Yeah, I really wanted to take that away and understand that these are the ways in which we can secretly limit ourselves, and then
secretly, loudly.
Secretly, loudly.
Well, they are hidden, though.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Those are programming. That's programming that was coming up for me, and I could have stayed in that programming. And Anita says, the long shame and guilt extended tour that I've been on. See, funny, I get it. I get it.
Your long guilt trip tour.
I feel like I have these bags I'm headed out, and I'm just like going forever.
Actually, this is a good, I've really come to a point in my life that, and I even said this to you the other day, if my body keeps like nagging me that I want something, I indulge it.
Oh yeah, you
always.
Said that.
So, I try not to restrict anything in my world, and that includes foods of all kinds. Like, my body wants Cheetos for the moment in time, I will indulge in Cheetos.
Cool.
And I don't, until it gets, if I was starting to wear too much of my food, I would change it. But then it would come from a different place of choice. It'd be like, great, I want my chicken and vegetables. And I probably even wouldn't want these other extra indulgence things, because then I was more in choice about not wearing my food. Yeah. But I think Valentina's got a good point. She's like, if you want it, wear it. Right. And I'm very much of that that flavor. I've become that though. Like, I mean, I've been doing this work day in, day out, daily for like 12 to 16 years. I mean, I think I've taken little sabbaticals from it, and my life's gotten a little complacent, but you know, at the end of the day, I do come back and I be this. And that's the invitation with this show. And that's why we're doing it on a regular basis, is we want you to have this information like through you, inside out, upside down. And so that you know, when you go to the mailbox and there's, you know, you got something that's, you know, a check maybe. Let's go for the positive first. And you open it and you're just like, oh, well, I got my daily check, my weekly check. But instead you add that extra potency and be like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I have made this, and now I can invest it or make choices for what to do next with this money, even though it just seems like something you get every week, right?
Yeah,
it
that
could be the other
changes things for you.
Oh my God, it changes so much. I remember whenever I would make a purchase, one of the big things I would do is when they would give me the amount, I'd be like, that's perfect. And just slide the card,
cute.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of a way for me just to be like sending a little gratitude back. And so, I mean, there's
I'm like that.
These little practices, and when you amp up the potency around them, instead of amping up the potency on, oh my God, this electric bill is twice as much.
I was going to say that. So I've done a lot of work where I get the electric bill and I'm excited. I'm happy about that bill.
Look at what that provided me all month long.
I do that all the time, but I've done this for a long time, right? So I get the bill and I'm like, gosh, I was warm when I needed to be. Now I got the AC when I need it, and I have a lovely house that I get to cool. You know, it's a blessing that we have electricity. Like, I really do give a lot of gratitude for my bills. It's funny. And let me tell you, that's probably why I got a check, you know, because the universe is just showing, like, keep going. And so I took that check and I was like, oh, this is just another sign that, you know, that everything lines up and I get to create, and the universe creates with me, and my guide's got my back. Yeah. And do you see how that's like a little more potent than, I got this unexpected thing. I think I'm going to go spend it all now on something that I've been not, you know, able to, right? It's like a totally different frequency. And money likes being paid attention to. I loved when you taught me that. Yeah. You taught me that. You taught me money loves being paid attention to, and you taught me money loves speed. Yeah. And we'll talk about those things. That'll be a fun show as well. But those things, just using those in my paradigm, like shifted everything for me too. Well, and see, my dad was a minister in the church, so you know, he's the one that's telling me how to do money this way, right? Yeah. You got to think that there's some connections there. Yeah. Money does love. Oh, so you have a question mark there. Oh yeah, money. So money doesn't, it likes to be in flow, right? So it likes to be like, it doesn't like to be dammed and out up and upside down. And if it is in a bank, it needs to be invested, right? It needs to be in something gaining interest, because it likes to be moving all the time. Money doesn't just sit stagnant. It's a currency. You don't dump it in the bank account. It will change. Right. And the more you change it, the more it creates for you. And, you know, that's just kind of how I've learned it. Like, you know, money, don't like just put it under like your couch. I also took that to mean that money finds you when you act with speed. If you get ideas, like one of the biggest things and Tony Robbins says, if you get inspired, and this is another thing. This is another thing that came into me today. It was if the universe is giving you an idea, and you really know that you keep getting this, and it usually comes in threes, like Talon said, right? And you keep getting this thought, right? This idea, this thought, this nudge to do something, right? Especially if it's an idea for like a business or anything like that. You damn well better go take some action on that, because the universe only gives you what you respond to. So
Yeah.
Your guides are giving you that message, especially if they're giving you in threes. You better go figure out a way to go have that. Just making that one little shift puts you in the whole different timeline. It moves you within the field. That is how you activate
Well, talk
matrix.
about the matrix. I just got this visual with it. So imagine this. You know, you've seen all those numbers on the matrix, right? Up and down, right? What are those are all inklings, I like to call them that word, that drop in your head as creations or ideas or ways to change. And those are meant for you.
Now the universe will give it to someone else if you don't do something with it.
Yeah. But the universe was like, that person would be good doing that. And you thought that, and then you're like, no, I can't.
Or you just don't do nothing, or you be lazy.
And a lot of that I can't comes from self-worth, right?
And that's where you do the lazy thing, because you secretly are like...
you do the natural lazy thing because you've always done that thing, because you've been trained to do that thing, and all the points of view that you have about lazy, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate?
Yes.
Because maybe the only reason you've even self-proclaimed you're lazy is because somewhere in some place in this reality you were entrained that you were not capable, not good enough, not worthy enough. So you just default to that lazy. And everything that is, will you let that go again?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
So I was going to say that once you get those inklings, like you said, when you take those actions, especially this inspired actions, and especially the ones that your guides have been nudging you to do, that is where those are the crux points, or the nexus points in which money starts to follow you around. Because if you've taken quick action, money then is a currency, and now you've raised your frequency to be on the same frequency as the money that is supposed to come get you. But if you're not taking those actions, money can't find you.
Yeah.
I mean, period. You're not there.
Well, no, and you're not also playing this game in the 5D.
Exactly.
Right?
You get choice. You always have free will. But wouldn't you like
you're
to do
almost
it?
like, but you guys, it's okay because you've got choice.
You got choice. You got free will. That's it, right? Like, that's why we are here on Earth, because we have free will.
Right.
And because we're having these, life lessons, whatnot. But if we could operate from a more 5D vantage point, then it just lines up. It works in what we like to call flow.
Yeah, what we like to call.
It is
I think
flow.
Everyone else likes to call it that too.
Yeah.
Let's see, what are y'all talking on the chat about?
I hope this
we
is
kind of
resonating.
just went and these are Valentine sent that one to me specifically, so we won't read it out loud.
I love this. It's making me feel crunchy inside. Oh, that's so funny. I felt that way, but I love it. So thankful for lights and air and heat. Ooh, you go, girl.
Yeah.
And the dishwasher. And it's silly, but it really, really does change things. And to change my device to be able to get on here. Yay. Right now, you have changed your timeline. You have raised yourself you really just those little things changes everything, because now you've positioned yourself different in the field, and your nexus points can push you in different directions because now you've got a new tree. Make sense?
Yeah. I mean, talk about upgrades, right? Like these are the way that we upgrade.
And they can seem as little as a butterfly flapping its wings, but it is as potent. Can be.
Yeah, what was that movie, that Butterfly Effect?
Yeah.
How a butterfly, gosh, there's a movie with Anne Hathaway that had also like a butterfly effect. I don't know, I guess maybe we should have named that these 3 steps. Interesting point of view, you've got that point of view. Interesting point of view, someone else has that point of view about me, and the butterfly effect.
I like
And then
that.
maybe there would be a fourth one on being your future
Yeah,
self too, but
it just,
it's
how do
very
you
fun.
continue to operate in that way? And I always say, like you said, if you have those feelings, you can be in your feelings, but utilize your tools. And I hope that's why you can take away from these calls is just a couple more tools in your toolbox to get back to that higher frequency. Like you don't have to stay there as long, right? And the more times that we choose differently, the faster it becomes to get either back to zero, right, to neutralize, because I always see the
Yeah.
current, or to raise your vibration, right? You get another choice there.
And every time that you like fall back into the 3D construct, you get another choice too. I mean, like I said, if my dog got run, why do I keep putting that example out? Let's stop putting that example
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
But if my friend's dog, no, just kidding.
Bird. What if they're bird?
Their bird flew away.
There you go.
If my friend's bird flew away, I would I'd hear her out and I would be sad for her and and then I would hope that she would let it go. It wanted to fly away. It needed to take. It needed a new future for itself. So maybe she could contribute for its future, right? Right. Sorry, lots of comments.
Yes. Can we talk about how easy it is to change any matrix we don't want to be in? Okay.
Go for it. It's your turn. No,
Oh, now it's my turn,
I have
right?
plenty
She got
I
stumped.
can talk up the ladder, but I think she will let her start.
Oh, you're so funny. So yes, so it's not about necessarily not wanting to be in that matrix. What you do is, so every time that you make a choice, it sets your path for a different set of nexus points, right? So every time you make a choice, let's say you're here, and then that choice goes to here, that choice goes to here, and you get a whole new set of choices. But you have to utilize your tools in order to be able to make those choices and in order to even have the awareness. So tools like using a clearing, tools like even just jumping up, and if somebody's pissing you off, you just go outside and you just laugh your ass off. And then all of a sudden you find yourself laughing, right? All of those things. You can use music. I mean, there are tones that help. You can go on YouTube. There are free resources all over the place that have mudras or whatever. They have different mantras. They have different a sound bath. Any of those things help to just, what they do is they create a pattern interrupt first. And what they also do is they put you in a different a different frequency. And so now that you're able to vibrate on a different frequency, then you're able to make another choice. So when you make another choice, you give yourself a new map. So if you give yourself a new set of choices and a new set of, essentially new branches, you have then recreated a whole new matrix by which you can sit there and make choices that put you on your highest timeline. I hope that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. But I think that if you're head tripping, like, have you ever been like, ugh, I can't stop thinking about this. I think I'm going to plug something in my ear and start meditating. Have you ever been like, you can't stop thinking about something and so, but you are trying to listen to something else, but nothing else will go in.
Yeah.
So in hypnosis, we learned all about these brain states, right? So in these brain states, when you're in like a high beta state, it's actually not really a time for you to change.
So what's a beta state?
So, well, right now we're in just a regular beta state. Okay. Usually a beta state's like when you're learning.
Yeah.
But when you're in a high beta state, that's like when your body's like in an emergency mode.
Okay.
In fact,
fight or flight.
And what else happens is all your energy goes away from your internal organs, literally out to your limbs so that you can fight. Like a tiger might, have to fight something, or that's how your body works. We're these animals still, despite all of our work to just, be sophisticated. And so when you're in a high beta state and you're doing that head tripping, really what first needs to happen is you need to go down from this like high frequency state And the best way to get that is just through breath work, like really breathing,
Ooh,
because you're
yes.
because what happens is you're affecting your body first. Then the second step is to do what you said, from my point of view.
Yeah, I don't know any
From
breath
the
work,
information
so
I know, so.
I don't know any breath work, and I know that you've got a lot of experience doing a lot of yoga and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you've got some really great breath work. For me, I have never even tried it. I probably maybe Lamaze.
Yeah. You're like,
It's my only like experience, and even then that didn't work out. But so I just utilized different things that I found as my tools, and
Yeah.
so I use laughter a lot.
that would get you in your body too.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a good shift. One of the best things for breath work is a cooling breath. It's like sucking through a straw. If you breathe in through the straw, and then you can breathe out through the straw, or just relax your jaw. And you do that, I don't know, like 25 times, and you'll get like this
Probably pass out.
yeah, you get like a little head high.
I gotcha.
But which then will stop that tripping.
Yeah. You create, yeah.
Yeah. Whew. Whispers.
And you said that's nice. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Whispers.
any of these things that help to, and I call it pattern interrupt, because what it does is it immediately shifts where you are, and it takes you out of that immobius tripping, that head tripping.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say a lot of that, especially the laughter and like a full body laughter. I wanted to be an actor like in my early days, and I have a book. It's called like the conscious acting, or consciousness in acting. And literally they'll have you like lay into a fetal position and act like you're crying, like you're, it's horrible, it's awful, and you're crying, and you're
Okay.
like in this fetal position, you're like and you know what'll happen? You go into that.
I bet.
Yeah, you become,
Oy.
and you have this huge crying release.
I was going to say, maybe it's very, very releasing. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what gets you there always, that shift in being. So, see, I told you she would come and be on camera.
Oh, I love it. Oh, what a little contribution. Yeah, so for me, if I do stuff like that, I start giggling. And so that helps me move energy as well. But I can understand how having a good cry and just really getting some of that stuff that you didn't even know was there, and then being able to then have that neutralized standpoint, then you can make different choices
Yeah,
from
it's
there.
good questions. Good questions. What other questions you guys have going through your head around this? I mean, doesn't have to all come from us.
Do you believe you can hack the matrix?
I
I mean, it's just a fun term.
yes. Yeah, it's playful, right? Like,
But it really is creating from a divine space, right? From it's how we get to do this
yeah.
reality. Now that we're learning.
Yeah.
Now that we're waking up and remembering who we are, that damn amnesia. So amnesia.
Yeah, first cry, then laugh. Yep. And that is powerful. Talk about flipping. And, or even seeing, like, have you ever been, like, totally immersed in a movie, too? And, you've been head tripping. You get totally immersed in a movie. You have, like, a totally different energy going out. But then you'll kind of reconnect with those reference points again. But what if that's the awareness? You don't need to reconnect with these reference points. So,
Yeah.
whew. So there you go. There's our topic, hacking the matrix. So here's your homework.
Woo!
Here's your homework for the
She's
weekend.
putting it on thick, y'all.
I don't know. I couldn't wait to talk about this. It was so funny.
Yeah.
I know.
It's such a gift. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to your guides. Thank
Yeah.
you to
And thank you guys for your contribution, because you guys being here, it's really what makes this show fun. Yeah.
I hope you know that I think about you all the time.
I know,
I
like
do.
some
I
of your
love-
names that show up every single time.
Yes.
Like we think about you, we're like, I wonder
Yes.
how Ruben would respond to this.
Oh, that's awesome. Hack it, not attack it.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. I'm all for that today.
And there's nothing, I mean, to be honest, gosh, there's nothing wrong with the matrix and being in the matrix. It's really just about playing with, am I in it or am I out of it? Right? Am I, am I playing this game as if my life is a movie, or am I playing this game as my life is this thing that happens to me? So that would,
so the victimology, like you
the
said.
woundology.
Woundology, victimology, same difference to me.
That's a good word. I like that. We can coin that word. Don't do victimology.
No science of victimness.
Yeah.
The study of victimness.
Yeah.
My ideas around it make it good or bad. Yeah, again, everything that we perceive is
that's your point of view. Your idea around it is your point of view.
Everything around us is we've given that meaning to. I can look at Jeneth, and the way I feel about her is the meaning that I give, right?
Yeah. I mean, I could be totally different inside. You're just perceiving me this way. I could be like really miserable every day. But when I come on camera, I show up.
She's fun. She's really fun. And so what energy, space, and consciousness can you be to be the contribution that you did not see for yourself, that you would allow yourself to be? Anything that doesn't allow that right now, or for you even to just step there with any iota of just creating that space. Would you destroy and create that, please?
Yes.
Yeah. You don't have that meanness about you, Jeneth.
That's your point of view. That's an interesting point of view. You got that point of view. Yeah. So, I mean, like really, I guess that maybe that's the best way to play with this. Like, what are all the projections, expectations that you have about us, right?
Or this show.
Right.
Or this message.
Right. Those are all your point of view. They could be right. They could be wrong. They could be, and how could you make them better so we create something better? So everywhere where you're making projections, expectations around us, and you can amp up it and make it 10 times better, would you be willing to do that? That's the ultimate manipulation, man. Yes. All right. I think you get the point of this. Maybe we continue these conversations.
I definitely think so. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot more that
comes through. Yeah. This is kind of like the biggest
good stuff
cloud, right? Biggest glowing sun.
Or it's neutral stuff.
Yeah.
It really is. It is what is.
Yeah.
Such a big statement.
Well, unless it isn't what it isn't. And everything is opposite of what appears to be, and nothing's opposite of what appears to be.
You say that 10 times every day. I swear it'll change things.
Well, that could also be something that you could try during your point of view is your head tripping. You start laughing and go, everything's opposite of what appears to be.
And nothing's opposite of what appears to be.
Did you have to come on camera too? Do you want to come over here in the middle so you can show your head? You can.
Oh, you all had fun with this so much.
Because of the AC, we left the dogs in. So there's two of them. Jenga, put your little nose up here. Can you say hello? There's two of them. There she is. So yeah, I have normal dogs. If you joined us during the summit and heard that little yippy dog, that we were just babysitting this puppy for a moment.
I would say that you actually were like, I don't know, but you were caretaking that dog, whether you liked it or not, because your heart's so big.
I have a cute fur. Yeah,
Well, thank you everyone on this that joined us today live. Thank you for everybody that's joining on the replay. Know that every time you hear this, that more things will show up, more things will change, and you might have more questions. You're always welcome to write us at team@hautessel.com. It's just like it's spelled right here. And we'll, do our best to try and get you some answers. And while we are, while we have this little bit of time to do maybe, more one-on-one, that kind of thing. But it's really exciting to be able to be here with you and to create this collective, like, feel good space now, right? In a place that in ways that we want to, have a world that we really want to show up in, and all of us creating that together. Because damn, there's a lot of that other stuff, and I think that we don't have to choose that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not go polar.
Yay!
Or bipolar.
No. Been there, done that.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for being here. Have a great weekend. We will see you next Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same place. We have a summit starting up on June 4th. And it's going to be Monday through Friday for a full 2 weeks. And those will be just interviews twice a day. Yeah. 20 interviews in 2 weeks. It's like a total immersion, a whole different set of people from the last one. So I hope you plan to join us.
Really fun topics. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
Ho'oponopono this. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to talk about the depth to that, instead of it just being those 3 words, because that's about all I know about it. Other than like where the story on where that came from is it started in a mental health institute, and he was like changing things within himself to change other people's ailments. I mean, it's
fascinating.
Fantastic. I can't wait for that conversation. It'll be super fun. All right. Next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.